Evening. My name is Jo Smith, Head of Events at Books, and I would like to welcome you all to this Books and Technogym Presents, Getting Set for Reopening, It's Time to Be Different. We had over 130 of you registered to attend, and it's amazing to see representation from over 40 universities. Hopefully, you'll learn a lot over the next hour. We're joined by experts today from our long-standing partners Technogym, Ben Sanham, Technogym's Sales Area Manager, who I'm sure a lot of you will know by now. We are then joined by Paul Woodford, Director of Partnerships, and John Lever, Head of Marketing at TA6. Paul and John are going to be covering three big topics: marketing campaigns, use of technology, and digital, and how to re-energise your staff. Before we conclude with a full panel Q&A discussing any questions asked throughout the event. But before we start, there's a few housekeeping bits to get through. So firstly, this webinar is being recorded. Therefore, it will be available to view again, and you'll be able to share with your friends and colleagues afterwards. The webinar won't last longer than an hour, so we should be all done by 3 o'clock. The Q&A function is available to use throughout, so please do use it. We'd encourage you to ask questions via this for our panelists to answer at the end. Please do also share any insights you've learned from this on your social media platforms. Our handle is @BooksSport for all our social platforms. We'd like to say a massive thank you to Technogym for their support in this event, and Books and HE Sport more widely. Technogym have been long-standing partners of Books and HE Sport, with their current partnership coming close to its 5th year now. Technogym's support and drive to continue supporting the sector has been unwavering even during these challenging times. It's fantastic to see the partnership growing from strength to strength, with so many universities working with Technogym, and hopefully today will be a really useful event for everyone attending. So let's get started. I'd like to welcome Ben to the screen, where we're going to discuss a little more about Technogym, wellness, and how universities can stand out in a competitive market. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Jo. Good afternoon.
So we'll start off with the first question. How have you seen the scope change during the pandemic?
I think just firstly, thank you, Jo, and thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, as well. We really appreciate your time this afternoon on this webinar. We hope you find it beneficial as some really engaging content from TA6 that's to come. I think the scope has certainly changed in the last 12 months. Had anybody said 12 months ago we'd be in lockdown 3.0 now, I think we'd all be we wouldn't have believed that at the time. However, 12 months on, we've been working, or 12 months ago, sorry, we were working very closely with universities to help them to engage and set up online platforms and use tools such as the My Wellness platform to be able to do that and pivot their offering. And now that's very much in place by a lot of universities. So they've been developing and creating that content to be able to have that content available for their students, staff, and community members as well. I think although the scope has changed in terms of what the offering has been, what hasn't changed and what hasn't changed in the scope is that a digital offering is still very much prevalent in what is required. We're still in a digital environment. We're meeting today via Zoom on a webinar, showing that the digital is still crucial and will continue to be so. I mean, students leave universities for prolonged periods of time at Christmas, Easter, the summer holidays. So with a digital offering, it shows that it's the only way to be able to be in touch with students and staff and community members throughout the whole year, even when they're away from campus as well.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. It's certainly been an interesting 12 months, hasn't it? But the digital stuff has been integral really to all of our lives. So looking forward, what would you say is a must in creating the best university wellness experience?
I think you've summed it up there in one word. It's experience. We've got to be able to create an experience. Experience is crucial for attracting students, staff, and community members to use our facilities or the university facilities across the UK. And ensure when students do come back in their second year, because it's very challenging for universities, not so much in the first year, but the second year, to attract the students to use the campus gyms when they may move into the cities and so forth. So it's important to create habits early on, so that when students do come back after that first year, the first place they go to use is the university gym. I think as we look forward to the reopening of gyms, certainly in England on April 12th, and Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland slightly later, and we've got this reopening back to the new normal, whatever that may look like, hopefully as close to how it was before as possible. It's really important to create that experience, make sure it's engaging, make sure it's inclusive for everybody, make sure it's non-intimidating, and help to create those healthy habits earlier on for individuals as they come back to universities. And I think it's all about looking at other industries and thinking outside the box. Look at what the restaurant industry has done, and doing this sort of live. You don't just go to a restaurant and have a meal. You go and you go for a live cooking experience. You don't just want to go and sit down and have a meal anymore. You want to go and have an experience in everything that you do. If you go to the cinema, when we were allowed to do that many moons ago, you go and you want the vibrating seats. You want that experience. You don't just want to go and watch a film. You want everything that comes with it as well.
Yeah, and that's quite key, isn't it? The kind of new normal and what we do to create that experience around the previous normal. Absolutely. So what can we do to stand out amongst the competitive market?
I think it's very similar to the last question to an extent, in that it's about creating an experience. It's about creating a motivating and positive environment for everyone to be able to improve their health, and not just health from a physical health, but mental health and mental well-being as well. I think if we look back at the ACSM trends, the American College of Sports Medicine trends, that were released earlier this year for 2021, I just wanted to pick on 6 core ones. The top one being online training. And whilst there are many platforms out there with many celebrity trainers, Joe Wicks, etc., people that are offering online training, it's crucial that students, staff, community members, etc., see you and your instructors to be able to do that training as well. So they get a local instructor training, although they may be many hundred miles away, they still feel they're part of something and part of that university environment. Wearable tech being the second most important one, although we're not all going to create and develop our own wearable tech, because there's market leaders out there like Garmin, Polar, Apple, Samsung, and so forth. It's important that we've got equipment, we've got resources in place to be able to help students to be able to track and use that content as well. Outdoor training areas, we're lucky in universities that a lot of the universities have got these huge outdoor training areas as well. So being able to do outdoor training, and now more than ever with that being allowed in many parts of the UK to be able to train outside. The seventh one within the American College of Sports Medicine's trends was exercise is medicine. And I think that's crucial, because whereas many people will have come to gyms and wellness centers and so forth to make themselves to look and feel good, now it's about they'll be coming to gyms for a health perspective as well. If there was, hopefully there isn't, but if there was another pandemic in many years to come, people will want to be able to be fitter to be able to combat that going forwards. And then the last point there within the ACSM is personal training and secondary revenue streams. So looking at new ways where universities can generate additional revenue as well through personal training, group training, and so forth as well.
Hey, thanks for that. And it sounds really interesting, some of the stuff that they've come out with. I'm sure that many people will be interested in hearing about that. So the final question in this section, we've just launched a Books and Technogym Innovation Hub, housing content on the partnership and universities you work with. One of our team is going to put the link in the chat for all delegates to see, but can you tell us a bit more about that site?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, thank you to Bucks and the team, especially James, Georgie and Michael, who have worked really hard to bring this forwards. Bucks always innovates, always looks at different ways to engage with partners, and we've worked very closely for the last 5 years, but this has been a really great way for Bucks and Technogym to host a lot of our content, so news on our partnerships from the university sector and elite sports, 3D virtual tours, so you can log on to the portal. Whilst you can't actually go to other facilities at the moment, you could have a tour of the University of Warwick's facilities through the virtual tour facility on the hub. And then also the best practice videos and case studies that we've worked on with various universities across the segment. But essentially, it's a very dynamic platform that we will work with BUCS to add to, develop, and create more content to add to over time as well.
Thanks for that, Ben. It sounds like a great tool and something that's developing further as well as we go through time. So yeah, do check that out. The link is in the chat if people want to have a look at that. So that concludes kind of the formal questions for Ben. Now, if you do have any more questions for Ben, then please use the Q&A function, because there will be time at the end for us to answer some more questions. So please do utilize that function. So before we start the next session, we're just going to ask the audience to complete a poll question. The poll should appear on your screen now. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in reopening your facilities? So while you're answering that, I'm excited to welcome Paul Woodford and John Liebert from TA6 to the screen, who will be presenting on marketing strategies for reopening facilities. Paul, John, over to you.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys today, and thank you, Technogym, for inviting us along as a strategic partner. I'm Paul Woodford. I'm head of marketing, director of marketing and partnerships at Alliance Leisure, and I head up the TA6 brand within Alliance. We're working with over 60 operators across the UK, helping them with their bounce back campaign and reopening, and a number of universities within that list. So doing a bit of a double act with John today. I'm going to do about 15 minutes, hand over to John. He's going to do about the same, and then back to me just to close up. This is the 5th time that we've done one of these sessions for Technogym over the year. We're all experts now at reopening. The aim of this session is to give you as much thought-provoking content to go back to the ranch, back on site with your teams to really review your bounce back campaign. What is your strategy going forward now over the next few weeks and months to get as many of your customers back and to inspire as many new people as possible to get involved within your facilities, whether they be a student, whether they be staff and alumni, or your community or public members. So we've adapted our content to give you loads of food for thought. We are going to throw a lot of slides at you. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight back into those slides. Both Joe and Ben mentioned the new normal, and I think this phrase has been overused, but does describe the kind of mindset that we're coming out of this journey, that things are going to go back to some sort of normality following a year of lockdowns and closures. But I want you to think about it as the new different. I had that on the title, and I didn't come up with that. It's on the HSBC advert. The new different means that you're going to take learning from this experience and enhance your offering. Your customers have been through that journey. They're all reflecting and adapting, and so should you guys. This is a chance not to be normal or mediocre, but to really have a brand that stands out, to really get your values and the offering, your service commitment. Ben, I was writing notes, used words like experience and engaging, and the fact that we now have digital, and your customers and your staff are looking for something different. So now's the time to really embrace that and embrace the year of learning that you've been through. There were things before March last year that you knew weren't quite right with your offering, but you hadn't changed them. Now's the time to change those. There are things that you've seen within your offering that you thought, we were fantastic at that, our customers missed that. That has to be a focus within your marketing campaigns. It's time for brands to stand out. So acknowledge what's worked, but don't be scared. Don't be delusional about those things that need to change. This is the time to do that, and embrace the new different. Stand out is a big thing. So to do that, though, I think we really needed to identify where the industry was a year ago. And as a team at TA6, we felt for a while that the industry was broken in a lot of ways. It's an industry that we love, you know, inspiring people to be fit, to be active, wellness, whether it be physical health or mental health or connecting socially. We all love the product that we're in. We're in it because we're passionate about leisure and wellness and sport and activity and getting people fit. But all it was going to take was a financial crisis or a global pandemic for those cracks to show. So I wanted to highlight some of the key things that I felt were broken beforehand that you can embrace to make sure that you bounce back more effectively. And number one was that we'd accepted a high percentage of sleepers, sleeping members, sleeping customers. You know, in fact, our industry was built on the fact that we couldn't rely on everyone turning up tonight to use the facilities. In fact, most sites would report that 30 to 40% of their customers had not been in for over 3 months. Those sleepers have now left. Though they have cancelled, dropped out, they may be frozen on your membership, but in their eyes, they are not coming back. And we can't allow going forward to have such a high percentage of customers that don't come in. So embrace the fact that you are not going to have a huge amount of sleepers going forward. And to do that, you have to have strong customer engagement. And Ben used the word people. We're looking for engaging and experiencing activities, even if we're at a restaurant or at the cinema. When someone joins or when you start to reopen, how are you connecting with your customers? What's your commitment to an experience, not just paying a membership or paying a fee to do an activity, that they're part of your community? Yes, there are some customers get great engagement and great customers, but the majority would join, come in and become lost. We have to embrace the new different, which is delivering engagement to everybody. The third of the three things that I felt were broken was that we were obsessed with offers, obsessed with doing deals to try and attract people into the facilities. You are going to probably need to do some financial offers over the next year. It's going to be a dogfight out there. People are going to come out, all of the competition near you, especially in the community and public part of your offering, and your students. You think about it, the budget gyms are going to be coming out really pushing offers. And it was sad to see in January when we were going to open the amount of chains that just came out with a financial offer. We're at a time where getting people out active, getting people healthy and their health being so important to people, we need inspiring campaigns. Lead with an inspiring campaign that may be complemented by an offer, but not the other way around. It's a blended approach to campaigns, not just promotion. Inspire people to want to be part of your brand, because it's time to bounce back, and we're a couple of weeks away from things starting to open in England, and then in Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland within the next month or so, you are going to start to open and bounce back. So I'm going to give you some key things to consider before John gets into the nitty-gritty of marketing, of what to think about in terms of the messages within your campaign to try and resonate to those groups, your students, your staff, and your public and community customers. And the first one is to identify that people have changed. The whole coronavirus journey has meant that your customers are never going to be the same again. And while we've been through reflection, your customers have been through a year of reflection. And I've done a couple of blogs on this and have talked about this a lot throughout the last year. But I think all of you, everyone on this call, the panelists, all your customers have been through these three stages to some extent. We've reflected on our life. We've looked at where we are, and we've learned to really come to appreciate certain things and not appreciate certain things within our lives, whether it be our jobs, our health, our family, finances, what I spend my time on. So it's a time to really embrace the fact that people have been on a journey. And a lot of people then thinking about the new normal is they want to take action. I'm going to be fitter. I'm going to change my job. I'm going to study harder. I'm actually going to commit to putting more effort into myself. And wellness, activity, exercise, mental health is crucial. So you need to embrace that journey. So does the messaging within your campaigns really pull and resonate with people who've been through this journey? And through that journey, some people have really got some energy about wanting to change their lives in a real positive way. So that's really inspiring and potentially quite daunting for people. So you need to show that You're a brand, a facility, a team that can really help those people. On the other side, you've got people who just miss their old life and want to get back to the way things were. So they want to know that you're open, you're safe, that things are coming online quickly, and they can get back to the habits they've had before. So the risk here is you could have this big inspirational, life-changing campaign and really forget the core messages about cleanliness, safety. We're really excited to be open again. The team are here for you. So you've got to have a combo. Again, it's a blended approach to your campaigns. Now here's a glass and motivational speech time. For all of you individually on here, I think there's 90, 100 people I've seen. Is your glass half full or half empty at this stage? And a lot of us and the industry, it's been a really scary period for us. And, you know, a lot of people are done now with lockdown or have been through real emotional time with their health or people's health that they know, or their jobs, or disruption to our lives. But your customers have been through the same. So we have to focus on getting our glass half full again. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Pre-lockdown, your business would have looked like this potentially. You know, a full glass with an opportunity to grow, but probably business was performing well. Some of you, your glass may have been completely full, and actually you were looking to develop your facilities because you needed to, you could bring more people in. Now your business is looking like this, that glass I showed you before, that half your customers have gone and the other half, we don't really know how they feel. How are they going to come back when we unfreeze memberships? You know, do they really see our brand as something that they want to use going forward? There's a lot of uncertainty. So a big part of my message is we have to come out fighting to inspire people to want to get back into their facilities and get active again, and to really fill that business glass back up, but also make a difference to people and your staff and your teams in terms of getting their glass half full. And acquisition is key. We need new sales. So you're going to be pouring and attempting to sell new memberships to get people through. But by doing that, you need to be careful, because you may unsettle those customers that have stuck with you. Those loyal customers, if they see that your campaign is just focused on pouring in new sales, offers, they may become disillusioned. So there has to be a balance between inspiring people to get fit and be part of your brand, and look after your customers that have stuck with you, and then win back those that have left. To do that, we've developed this model, which we can share with you offline, and there's content for this, of your strategy is all about customer experience. Your culture, your brand, who you are, then flows into your marketing strategy and the campaigns and how you acquire people. And then when they respond to your marketing, how you deal with inquiries, and then how you keep people. And that there is a consistent flow, but generally in most businesses, they're seen as very separate units. They're one transition to an amazing customer experience. And to support that, we've developed this model called meeting people where they are. Really understanding how people feel, your customers, and then relate your delivery and your products to how they're feeling and where they are in their confidence and experience. And we've developed this algorithm to enable you to do that. So if someone inquires or responds to your marketing and comes in to your facilities or online, your team need to go through 3 key stages. How confident and experienced are they? You know, are they someone who's super confident, who's ready to rock and ready to go, or someone who's never done this before and needs help? Your messaging, your campaign needs to message, needs for both those groups to really get that you've got a support offering for them. And then emotional readiness is how ready are they with the journey they've been on to really get fit and active. You may have someone who's super confident, super experienced, real gym bunny, who's actually been through the toughest year of their life, like many, and their motivation levels have dropped. And your team need to be able to offer services and products and pathways to be able to do that. And the use of technology will really help. So meeting people where they are will transform the amount of people that join, get involved, and then get the most out of people, most out of their membership with you. And it's time for change in terms of what you deliver for them, not just the same old induction or program or here's our app. Embrace how people are feeling and really adapt your approach accordingly. These are the 4 stages that we've been on. the closure phase. You know, you've communicated with your members to try and stay connected. We're now in what we call T-2, which is where we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month away from reopening, and it's about inspiring people to get ready because we are back. And we've been through that on previous webinars, and now T-2 is where you are now, and use the content we're giving you today to really review, is your marketing powerful enough? Because it is time to inspire. It's time to get people back into the facilities, giving them confidence that we have cleanliness and the standards ready, but it's a good place to be. And the reason yes, online is fantastic, and there is a blended approach now, and people can train at home, but the benefits of getting back to, as a student, when we, you know, within the facilities, or as a member of staff, or as a community member, is that connection, engagement, the social side. Yes, digital is here to stay, but we need to really come out fighting to get people back in and give them the confidence, because they really will fulfill their wellness goals if they're being supported within the facility. Now, my last slide before I hand over to John is, I've used "it's time to" in lots of the slides. It's really time to build a community, and this is a Denbighshire Leisure, a leisure trust. I've got "We Are Denbighshire Leisure," and I really encourage you to, you know, get some positive messaging out there that's really going to resonate with people and inspire them to get back. So I'm going to hand over to John now, he's now going to look at the how. I've given you a lot of the theory, but how do you really make that happen?
Thanks, Wendy. Does my slide come up? Just give me a nod, already.
Yes, it has, yes.
As Joe was doing the introductions, I got that dreaded message on the screen that said your internet connection is unstable, and it's the worst message you can potentially get when you're about to do a webinar. So hopefully I'm coming through okay. So I've got quite a few slides to get through in the next 15 minutes. So I'll make no apologies maybe for giving you a lot of information, maybe throwing too much at you, but as Joe said, we're going to share these slides afterwards, the recording. So, and if you've got any questions, just pop them in the Q&A as we go through, rather than try and remember at the end anything that popped into your head as I'm talking. But I just thought of where to start, and I just want to go right back to the beginning and talk about the aims and objectives of a campaign. So it's very easy to get into the action and to start, you know, I'm going to talk about social media and Google advertising and YouTube and all these tools that we can use, but too often we get hooked into that hamster wheel approach of talking about the things that they're doing the activity, but we haven't really taken time to think about our audiences, who we're targeting, and ultimately why we're targeting people as well. And before you know it, with that hamster wheel approach, it's you're doing your launch campaign at the moment, then it'll be summer, then it'll be Freshers Week, then will be Black Friday. And before you know it, 12 months has zipped by, and we haven't really taken time to assess either what's happening. So with any campaign, we refer to it as 4 A's, is just to take time to look at what you are trying to achieve in the first place. And today I'm going to talk quite a bit about the audience as well, about how we actually look at different audiences to segment who we target and ultimately how then we target them. So one of the things that's it's not changed over the last 12 months, but it's certainly become more prevalent is your use of social media. I'm sure most of us have relied heavily on it to communicate with our customers, alongside newsletters and emails and maybe our websites, but social media is really the core of how we communicate with our customers. And a question for yourself to really analyze and think about is, why are you on the channels that you're on? What are you on the right channels to begin with, in terms of probably Facebook and Instagram are the key channels that you've been utilizing, maybe Twitter as well, although it's a platform that's struggling and finding its feet at the moment. But what are you going to say when you're actually open and you open your facilities, or the next couple of weeks of looking to reopen? Are you going to be putting out some sales messages with your promotions? As Woody just said, there's a caution to be had. We're just talking about promotions and sales all the time. Are you going to be looking at engagement? Is that the reason that you're on social media, to actually engage with your audience, to gather feedback, conduct surveys, do a bit of research on there? Is it to share content from partners and other people that you do work with? And social media ultimately is to become part of your communications and marketing plan. Too often we see with operators that social media drives the marketing. You think of an excuse to do something on social media, and that becomes part of your marketing plan. your social channels are just one form of communication. So create your marketing plan up here, and then social media is just one way of communicating that message to your customers. And social media is changing over the time. So 12 months ago, yes, TikTok was around, but within lockdown, people got hooked into TikTok, sort of regardless of age, maybe. It is a younger person's channel. The reach is highest between 16 to 24-year-old females, if you wanted to categorize it into a very specific audience. But it's grown hugely as a channel. In the last 12 months, it's gone from around 500 million users to 1.1 billion users. So it's a big growing channel. But maybe it's because of the situation that we were in that it did so well. And what you often find with these channels is that the likes of Facebook and Twitter and the bigger players will often create their own copycat function. So Instagram launched Reels a few months ago, which is a direct competitor for TikTok. If you start to think about, are these useful for you as a leisure operator to utilize within your facility mix, within your engagement and customer communications plan? They might not be relevant for direct promotions, but for engaging with your existing user base, maybe it is something that you need to take hold of. And it depends who is in your team that runs your marketing communications. If you've got myself, John Lever, doing your marketing plans, you probably wouldn't look to roll out TikTok through myself because I'm a 40-year-old white male. It's not my core audience. So actually, should you be looking at members of your team who are really engaged with the platform, get them to share their thoughts on how it could be used customers and also for prospects coming into the business. Another opportunity within social media is looking at sort of changes over time, what's happening in 2021. We're going to see this big merger that Facebook are looking to merge Messenger with Instagram and WhatsApp to create this single end-to-end encrypted messenger platform. The ins and outs of it don't really make a difference to many operators, but what it does mean is that your customers will be able to engage and communicate with you as a business much easier. So have you taken the time to look at how you respond to those incoming inbound messages? So who responds, how fast do they respond, what's the quality of the response? Can you invest in some automation and look at some plugins and bots that might work with Facebook and your website to auto-respond to customers while still maintaining that social element, that personal element as well? Facebook's benchmark, if you're not aware, is 15-minute response times is what they benchmark most Facebook profiles on. So think about it, how close can you get as a business to responding within 15 minutes? Most of our clients that we work with probably would aim for 1 to 2 hours as a response time. But when you share the task amongst your team, you often find that you can get it down to less than an hour. Last point on social is just this growing notion of e-commerce. We've seen it for a long time, but Facebook is about to roll out a new platform called Shops. Instagram's making it a lot easier for online purchases. When you've got followers of more than 10,000, you can swipe up on the screen and engage in a different way. But again, for yourselves to think, is it relevant for us as leisure operators to jump into e-commerce? Maybe not directly, but the consumer, your customers are out there shopping online all the time. So how comparable is your online joining process, booking process, the ability to purchase products within your facilities? Because if Amazon are doing it over here really in a slick way, and they come to a clunky leisure operation, customers will drop out quite quickly. So think about how do you improve your online service, not just from an engagement point of view, but the functionality of how people can engage and purchase with you online. So I mentioned at the beginning about making sure we're going to focus on audiences, and a lot of people focus on the product, which isn't to say we're not going to focus on the product, but ultimately we're an experience industry. People don't buy the treadmills. Apologies, Ben and Technogym, they do make a difference, but a treadmill is a treadmill to a lot of customers. The facility is a facility, a gym is a gym. What people are actually buying is the results, the experience, the social side, the emotional link to a facility. We're not Amazon selling widgets and products. We're selling a very different user experience, and we have to think about our users, our customers in certain groups to understand what they're really going through. And as Woody said, the last 12 months of a pandemic has changed people's views. People's perceptions on exercise change all the time as well. So we need to drill down to our specific audiences. And the first way we can start to do this is by looking at the data that we hold. And apologies, this starts to feel a little bit cold when we talk about our audiences and being personable, but then we're going to crunch some data on them. But we do hold a lot of information on our customers in our databases, in our staff's heads, and in what they know and speak to them day to day. But how can data actually inform and drive a marketing strategy? I often use the example of a referral campaign. Many of you will do with your fitness memberships, maybe a refer a friend and get a free month. Do you know what that free month is as a discount on your membership? So if your average, what you're trying to find out is your average lifetime value of your customers. If you know that average lifetime value, you know what discount you can afford to give away. If your membership's £30 a month and someone stays 18 months, then that lifetime value of a member is worth over £500. So giving a free month away might not be much of a discount. So knowing how long people stay, average values, makes a big difference and can inform that marketing. 3 specific groups, though, that you probably want to look at, and rather than look at your membership base as a whole, is break it down into who are your current members. So active members, as Woody said, that your sleepers have dropped out, you've got a current active membership base who've stuck with you. But specifically within those, who's joined recently, who's willing to pick up a member, who's willing to book a badminton court, book an outdoor pitch, actually become a member and use your facilities. Because who are they and can we get more of them? Also look at your cancellations, who's dropped out recently. What's the profile of those sort of customers? Is there a reason that a certain group of your customers are dropping out of your membership base? And then the last one to look at will be your prospects. A lot of people have stayed away from prospects the last few years because of GDPR and data protection, and where do we store that data, and do we do it ethically? How do we collate it? It's 3 years on since GDPR kicked in May 2018, I think it was. So if over 3 years, you've lost the opportunity to build your prospect databases. Start today, build the prospect database, start gathering data from your customers, but do it with GDPR in mind. Collect the data ethically, store it properly, explain to customers why you're going to use it, and start using that data to inform your marketing. So one of the key ways we're going to look at audience marketing is through personas. Some of you might have looked at this before, but 3 different ways in terms of demographics, geographics, and psychographics. So the psychographics is the bit that you probably haven't spent much time on, which is looking into people's hobbies, interests, their lifestyles. Excuse me. If you take myself and my persona, so that's my profile. If you're interested in selling fitness to me, would it be more interesting to you as a business that I'm male and my age and where I live, or is it that I'm actually interested in fitness? Is it that I've downloaded a recent fitness app or visited your website and looked at specific fitness pages? So actually trying to gather this data on your customers is really key. And this is a sheet we'll share with you afterwards, but this is just a quick spreadsheet of how you can build these personas. So we've created a number of different categories across the top of the page, and then looked at hobbies, interests, what stops these people exercising, what type of exercise is interesting. And this is the sort of data that will then inform your marketing, your promotions. And I'll give you a good example of who does this outside of leisure, the holiday companies. So this is Chewy or Thompson. They sell everything from winter breaks, family excursions, skiing, but you can quite quickly see that this is the family artwork. So they're promoting to the family. The mum is normally the main decision maker in a lot of the time, the female, so they'll focus on mum, possibly more than dads. But this comes across as very much a family focused promotion. And then you switch to a different campaign, same company, same missions and values, but definitely aimed at a different target audience. So this is around indulgence and couples, and it's about the setting and the atmosphere and a very different look and feel to it. And a great example from one of our clients at the University of Warwick Sport have done this when they've grouped their customers into passionate participators on the left of the screen through to active seniors. And this is in terms of their intensity, energy, outcomes, and it reflects in the artwork, the copy that we use, the text in the actual campaigns, and ultimately the call to action. What is the reason that people will be inquiring through these type of campaigns? So a couple of things just to wrap up. If I pass back to Woody, I mentioned lead generation briefly, but lead generation is seen as often at the moment, it's seen as a digital tool. And actually it's part of a mixture of a lot of different things going on within a facility. So your pay-per-click performance is just part of the story that actually still relies on your staff converting people when they walk into a facility. And when you talk to your staff about the sales funnel, taking customers through that approach, this sort of model is what you might have experienced before, where it's straightforward, where we look for leads, we tour people around, and then we convert people. And actually what we should be looking at is this sort of a model where we've got a whole nurture phase in the middle, where we're trying to nurture people through a pre-contemplation stage, create some content marketing, and sell to them second. Which is why we want to focus on content marketing more so than just pure engagement through just price-led offers. So we want people to take action, but what you need to do before you take action is create some value in the business, create some content, share some information, create a blog, something that adds value to what you do. You're seen as the experts in your field, and then you can sell on the back of that type of campaign. Again, an example sort of within our industry is Joe Wicks, who's seen as the king of content marketing. He gives away a huge amount of free content. But when you look at his Amazon store, out of all the ways he sells, you can see how at some point there is a sale to be made. And he talks about a 12-week nurturing phase where it takes about 12 weeks from someone seeing his first piece of content to actually making a purchase. So he invests 3 months of free content to try and get sales. So last thing to consider is online advertising. I'm not going to mention Facebook advertising specifically today, but it is definitely one that probably most of you are using. But Google AdWords is one that's underutilized. So it's a pay-per-click channel. Often you only pay when someone engages with your adverts. It's linked to YouTube, so don't undervalue the importance of video advertising through YouTube. It's the second biggest search engine on the planet, Google being the first. YouTube and Google are the same company, so they've pretty much got the monopoly on search, but how can you utilize video advertising and probably creating more video in your campaigns to bring them to life? And specifically with search advertising, there's a few things on the screen there that you can see of why it's important to your business. You can target people actively looking for your service. So I said I wasn't going to mention Facebook advertising, but Facebook advertising is more interruption marketing, where someone isn't expecting to see your advert pop up. Whereas on Google and YouTube, they're actively searching with intent around your service. You can target people based on the psychographics, the geographics that we've mentioned. You can ideally beat your competitors to the top spot on search results. It will help inform your SEO strategy, which is sort of that voodoo black art behind the scenes of how do you get your websites naturally up to the top of the search results. So you can use your Google advertising to inform that. And you can also utilize search as well as display adverts and video advertising. And there's a whole webinar in itself just in terms of Google content. And the very last thing to consider is that technology only works when it integrates with one more important device within your facilities. And ultimately, that's the people. My team skip me sometimes that I'm like death to all humans because everything's got to be automated, and I like process, and I like the way you can schedule certain facilities with things within digital. But ultimately, humans make them work. You've got to try and think about how do these tools engage with the customers, your staff, your partners, the community around. Because ultimately, you want to create a team that embraces technology and understands how to apply that to their customer experience. So I'm going to pass back to Woody now, who's just going to wrap up in terms of staff engagement.
Cool. Does that slide come on, John?
Yeah, it's good to go.
Brilliant. Thank you. Just the key then with bouncing back is, are your team ready? And I just wanted a couple of minutes to share our thoughts on getting your team ready. And I used this slide for a Technogym webinar we did probably in the summer last year about getting your team ready for the mission of cleanliness, standards and delivering, because if you don't get that right, your brand reputation will be at risk. You've got to deliver high levels of standards and have passion to deliver that. but there is that whole engagement piece as well of making sure that people really feel connected when they come back in as well. And to keep my glass theme going, I think this slide really describes potentially where your teams are. And there's a phrase that we've developed called skill drain that we developed that's out there, that where all of us, because we've been working at home, because we haven't been delivering our jobs to the level that we were face to face, our skill set has gone backwards a little bit. And some of your staff have gone back more than others. And those brands that then expect us just to bounce in and the team's ready to rock when we reopen is just not reality. We've got to inspire our teams and put our arms around our teams to find out how they are, how they're feeling, and really coach and deliver and train people to your teams to deliver the service required. And there are a number of reasons why we have skill drain, and you think of the journey that we've been through, from being bored if we've been furloughed, the anxiety of the whole COVID journey, we're fatigued and tired, lack of stimulation. It is a potential time bomb out there, and I think you really need to embrace and have a game plan over the next few weeks for inspiring your team to come back. And so here's some key things for you to think about. The first is support. Is it possible for your middle management, your management team, to have one-to-ones with your staff and really connect? Definitely. But your teams have to be trained to be able to deliver those one-to-ones. It's not just about a safe, clean environment. It's also about the impact that we're making for our customers in terms of engagement. So are your management team confident to have those conversations? Do they know what to say, what to look out for? Have you got them together to enable? Are you giving the support to your management team to be able to deliver that support and replicate that down to the teams who are out there on the front line? So it's crucial you take that time. To help with that support and those one-to-ones is to create this sense of purpose. Why are we here? Why are standards? Why are strong customer engagement experiences and moments really important? And we're here to help get your student community, your staff, your public customers fit and active. So it's crucial that you really get them excited and inspire them in terms of the impact that they can make for people when they come back. And that, whether it be training sessions online, pulling people in together, but your senior leaders really inspiring your staff with a sense of purpose. And we developed it into the 3 R's to rejuvenate your staff. Rejuvenate, is a youthful exuberance, to make them feel and re-energize them again by refocusing them as they bounce back with that strong sense of purpose. And that is not just an email, that's not just a token webinar, it's one-to-ones to really connect with your staff again. And that kind of brings circle back to our mantra of meeting people where they are in terms of customers. I think applies perfectly for your teams as well. What journey have they been through on the last year? How are they feeling? How positive are they about the future? Their glass half full, half empty, and how can we inspire them and give them confidence and support to really help us bounce back, especially if you're using the correct messaging and really inspiring your communities to do that. Your teams need to deliver it. So take the time to meet your staff where they are as well. Cool. So our takeaways, we thought we'd leave you with 5 top takeaways. For me, it's time to inspire. Don't just go back to financial promotions. John showed those Warwick campaigns we did last year. There was a financial offer, but they were mapped in with real strong messaging for groups. Use data to inform your marketing and create personas. That links into creating campaigns, not just for promotions, but invest in your team over the next few weeks. And for your customers and your staff, embrace our mantra, which is meeting people where they are. Cool. Wow, did we do it in 35 minutes? I don't know.
That was perfect. Thank you. Well, brilliant. Thanks for that presentation, Paul and John. Some really interesting and useful takeaways for our members there. So yeah, thank you. Really good. So before we move on to our final Q&A session, we've got a couple of questions to the audience, which you should see popping up now. So the first one is, do you see a hybrid fitness model continuing to be part of your offering going forwards? And the second one, would you like a follow-up session with TA6 and Technogym to support with your marketing and relaunch strategy? So while you're answering those, we're moving on to our final session today, which is Q&A. So invite all panelists back onto the screen, please. And we've got a few minutes to go through some questions. So thanks for those who've submitted some while the presentation's happening. A reminder, if there are any others, just to submit any in the chat box as we're going through. So the first question today, I'm going to give this one to you, Paul. How do we rebuild the confidence of our students to engage with our facilities following the lockdown?
I think to build confidence, I think, is to use testimonials. I really think that coming out and talking about using your staff initially as we're really excited to see you coming back, you know, the team, you know, get the personalities and the characters, I think is essential. You know, so we called it T-2 as you start to open, starting to have the videos of we're getting ready to open and those characters that they may have seen before, and then using testimonials once you are open. So if you're trying to resonate with new people as well, actually using testimonials I think would be key. So it's all about personalizing it and making it real and relatable. I think that would be perfect in terms of you know, giving them confidence to come back rather than just token, yes, everything's clean or we're ready, real people saying it.
Yeah, sort of links into that experience bit as well, which you were talking about earlier, Ben. Okay, this one's for John. So is there evidence or a field to suggest that flexibility in purchasing options will influence membership sales? So is there still an appetite for longer term membership options, or will organisations have to increase higher risk, shorter term purchasing options?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's a discussion that's been around for the last 12 months as people have thought about, will people commit to long-term memberships? Particularly last year when there was a very much more of an uncertainty of future lockdowns, are people going to commit not knowing whether a facility is going to go back into lockdown? So I think that side of the discussion is getting easier to handle. Hopefully that there won't be future lockdowns, but even last year when we looked at our clients that offered 12-month contracts, a lot of people out there still offering those, they were still selling quite strongly when they reopened in that sort of July, August, September phase. So I think that there isn't a knee-jerk reaction to all of a sudden start offering shorter-term memberships. If it's part of your, you know, if you value, if customers can see value in a long-term membership and you can demonstrate it, I think you just need to get your staff fully behind it. And it's that point of sale. We've seen this before when operators offer annual memberships or month to month. It's generally the sales process and the member of staff that will sway a customer into which one to go down. So if the staff are trained and confident about the options, I don't think 12 months and long-term memberships is an issue.
Great, thank you, John, for that. This one's for Ben. So for students, the social side of exercise and activity is really important. How can facilities bring the social side to the digital platform?
It's a really interesting question because, or a very interesting point, full stop. It's we're all sociable people. That's the one thing we've missed over the last 12 months has been around people, and technology can make it difficult to do that, to feel like we're around people. Fortunately, with our platform in the My Wellness Cloud platform, it does give that social interaction, does allow you to go into that sort of chat function at the start to be able to interact with your fellow students. And as we said in the first point in the Q&A at the start, it's I think as we go out of we go through this roadmap to the new normal, we still want to be social. We still want to be sociable with our friends, with our peers, and so forth. So it's really important that we've got platforms that allow us to do that as we go through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go on, Paul.
Yeah, I think totally right. I think this journey, there is a blended approach now. I think if people are craving social and they want that, you know, that's what I was saying, but come out fighting to get people into the facilities. And then when they can't come, you've got a fantastic tool for them to be able to exercise at home or to jump on a live class. and then connect as well. So I think it's not like a choice between online or the club. I think it's like, again, it's that word blended. It's, you know, hybrid is a choice. So we're really trying, and so if someone comes in for their first appointment when they join, to say, look, get the app out, download it now, get my way on. You know, if you can't come in, you can jump on a class, or we can do live, but it's trying to get people to see that connection of both, not a choice between one or the other. I think it's really key, really key.
So that blended approach to it, really.
Definitely.
Okay, this one's for you as well, Paul. So it was a comment really from one of the audience, kind of agreeing that they shouldn't be rolling out the same inductions, and that we should recognise that customers have changed, and we have talked about that quite a bit. Are you aware of any training courses that you could recommend that we could introduce to our gym team in order to help them on their journey?
Yeah, I saw that question when it popped up, and I think giving your fitness team the skill set to be able to meet people where they are is that crucial, rather than make them have an induction or make them have a program. So I think actually it's the confidence to be able to have a conversation with somebody, to open up and find out exactly how they feel, and then be able to point them in the right direction. So yes, what we have noticed, and we deliver courses on that confidence to ask those questions, but in terms of a formal qualification, I think the fitness team needs to have the confidence that they can deal with every situation that may be there. That's why they avoid writing programs or that interaction. So the more they can learn on weight loss programs, dealing with someone if they're in strength training, if it's someone who's an active aging, and that confidence and that self-learning. But I think the priority for me would to give them the skill set to be able to have those motivational chats at the start. That's the priority. It's easier for them to say, oh, it's an induction and a program, because they can just manage that. Yeah, I'm in control, it's easy. You know, so it's confidence and communication skills more than anything. They're the sort of courses they need.
Great, no, thank you for that. This one's for you, Ben. So for some of us, we're offering a digital offer, for example, Technogym on Demand as a service for the first time. Any advice on how best to structure membership options or subscriptions with and without the digital option?
I think this may be something that John and Paul want to add to as well, but there's I think there's various different options available with this, and it's, as Paul alluded to a moment ago, it's that blended approach. It's not just about offering one or the other. It's the hybrid of the two potentially. Maybe it's a digital alumni membership as well. So your students who are abroad can still be an alumni member of the sports sports hub, the sports club, the sports centre. They can still engage with their colleagues and their ex-students who they used to play, maybe it was rugby, hockey, netball, whatever it might be. They can still engage and do a fitness-based class with them online. It could also then be looked at from a PT perspective, do online one-to-one PT sessions through the platform, do a digital-only membership. There's lots of options, and it all depends on where, I suppose, you're taking your business model as well from a commercial perspective. But I don't know if John or Paul, you want to add to that as well.
Yeah, I definitely think the content that you're putting out needs to be yours as well, as much as you can. So it's your personalities, your characters. It's great when you've got a partner where there's loads of content that's on there as a backup, but if it's your content, your team members, and then, you know, I think that's is crucial to have that connection. But there are a lot of operators now are looking at just having an online option that they sell, and you buy into the brand and you're connected to the brand no matter where you are. That then needs to be your team delivering it, not a third party, and investing in the delivery of that from studios and the way it's recorded, the type of classes and activities. So yeah, definitely your content, your characters.
Great, thank you for that. I think, unfortunately, that's our last question for this session. But thank you to the audience for submitting questions. It was some great questions and some good answers, hopefully, from the panelists. So hopefully you've taken some stuff away there that you can take back to your university. So That concludes today's session. A huge thank you again to all our panelists for today. Amazing insights across such a wide range of perspectives. So thank you. Hopefully it's been hugely beneficial for anyone looking to develop their digital offering. So before we finish off, we've got one final poll, a question for the event. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how valuable was this event, with 5 being the highest? As I said at the beginning, we'll be sharing an email tomorrow with a few key takeaways and a link to view the recorded webinar, so do take a look at that when that comes through. A special thank you to Technogym for their continued support of Books and HE. If you would like to speak to Technogym team after the event, we'll include Ben's contact details in the post-event email, or drop our commercial team an email and we'll provide a direct introduction. Finally, a big thank you to everyone who attended today. We hope you found it informative and useful.